Hi and welcome to the 5-Minute Business Boost, where you get to choose your 5-minute investment. I'm your host, Sam Nix, and I'll be discussing topics under the headings of business development, marketing, photography, and much more.
Welcome to this week's episode of the 5-Minute Business Boost. So today I'm talking about food photography, of course. Last episode we talked about DSLRs. Now I want to talk about smartphones because I don't know, I always came from the old adage that the DSLs were just amazing. And, you know, look, I'm a Nikon girl, but I've had Minolta. You know, I've been in the back wings of analog, and I do love the bulkiness of a camera. Don't get me wrong, iPhones now have got the same pixel rate and all the features and so forth. But for me, I don't know, maybe I'm traditional and showing my age, but I do love a good camera. But a lot of workshops I teach, we always talk about using one or the other or both. So today I'm talking about food photography for smartphone users, and I don't know, those 5 principles for better food photos that I think carry from one to the other. Okay, there's a couple of subtle differences. I'll see if you can pick them up. Now, last episode I talked about people eat with their eyes first, and it is still very true. It's one of the oldest sayings, I think, in hospitality and food marketing. And I think even with iPhones, it's never been more relevant. And the good news is you don't need to buy an expensive DSLR. I wish you would, because I love it and I don't want to ever see the craft die or wane. But you don't need the big equipment to create mouth-watering food images. Most modern smartphones are capable of producing stunning food photography or photographs or results when used correctly. So whether you're a cafe owner, a winery, a baker, a restaurant, food producer, market stall holder or a home cook, the camera already sitting in your pocket is often more than capable of creating images that attract attention online. So let's have a look at these 5 simple principles. So light first. Just like DSLR photography, great food photography starts with light. The best camera in the world can't fix poor or crappy lighting. So natural light is usually your best friend. Position your food near a window and allow soft daylight to illuminate the subject from the side or slightly behind. If you're indoors, look for a window with plenty of natural light and turn off any competing overhead lights where possible. Harsh room lighting often creates unpleasant shadows, and it just gives it a horrible look, and it can make food look dull or discoloured. Now, a good tip is having, if you've got, you know, a window and you've got some light material that will act as a diffuser, use it, okay? Because what it'll do is just soften that light coming in. Backlighting can be particularly effective for food photography. Think about a glass of wine catching the light, steam rising from a coffee cup, or a drizzle of chocolate sauce glistening across a dessert. So have a think about your lighting. If your shadows are too strong, place a piece of white cardboard paper, baking paper, foil, whatever, a napkin opposite the light source to bounce some light back into the scene, okay? When people ask me how to improve their food photography instantly, my answer is always the same. Find better light, because it's the key. Alrighty, another one, number 2. This is a bugbear of mine. Please clean your lens. I know it sounds ridiculously simple and you'll probably be rolling your eyes. I am while I say this. But it's the most overlooked tip in smartphone photography. You know, often people say, I'm going to send you photos that I've taken. And I look at it and I think, oh my God, please just clean the lens. It takes 2 seconds. Because you know what? Our phones spend most of their lives in pockets, handbag bags, car consoles, kitchen benches. We're picking them up. Our hands are dirty because, you know, the lens and the phone itself is collecting fingerprints, dust and grease throughout the day. It's almost giving me an attack of the while I'm talking about it. So before you take a photo, just quickly wipe the lens with a clean microfiber cloth or even the edge of your shirt. I know people around the world are going to hear that and cringe, but, you know, something's better than nothing. But make sure it's clean. the difference in doing that can be remarkable. Many people think their phone camera isn't very good. In reality, they're just simply shooting through a dirty lens. It's almost like putting Vaseline or some type of grease all over the lens. So have that 5 seconds wipe on that camera lens, because that means you're going to get those sharper images that you're looking at, better contrast and more vibrant colours. And it's probably the easiest photography upgrade you'll ever make. Just give your lens a wipe. Alrighty, number 3, composition and framing. Yes, I know, that old bug. Composition is simply the way that you arrange the elements within the image. And one of the easiest techniques is the rule of thirds. Most smartphones allow you to turn on those grid lines. Look under settings. These grids can help you position your subject more effectively rather than always placing it directly in the centre of the frame. Try photographing from different angles. Lay flats or flat lays work beautifully for grazing boards, pizzas, breakfast spreads and bakery products. A 45-degree angle often works well for plates of food. A side-on angle, however, can be ideal for burgers, cakes, stacked pancakes and layered desserts. Getting hungry just thinking about it, really. Don't be afraid to move things around. Shift a napkin, rotate a plate, move a glass, because sometimes a tiny adjustment completely changes the strength of an image. One often overlooked consideration is where the image will be ultimately used. If you're creating website banners, newsletters, or website headers, landscape orientation is often required. If you're creating content for Instagram, Facebook stories, or Reels, portrait orientation is usually the better choice. My recommendation is simple: wherever possible, take both. Trust me, and take 1 to 3 images of each setup. Capture a landscape version and a portrait version of the same scene. It only takes a few seconds and it will give you far more flexibility later, especially if you're putting them into albums, because you're looking to build a content bank of images that you can use for whatever you might need in your business. Number 4, focus, exposure and portrait mode. Modern smartphones are incredibly smart, but they still sometimes need a little guidance, as we all do. Before taking a photograph, tap on the screen where you want the camera to focus, because this is going to tell your phone exactly what the hero subject is. Most phones will then allow you to slide your finger up or down to adjust brightness and exposure. And a slight reduction in exposure often helps food colours appear richer and more natural. And one feature to use carefully, of course, is digital zoom. Now, while our iPhones or our devices offer impressive zoom capabilities, excessive zooming can sometimes reduce image quality. And it introduces a softness or a blurriness to the image, and sometimes the results are not very good. So where possible, move closer to your subject rather than relying on digital zoom alone. Now, portrait mode can also be useful for food photography. When used carefully, it creates that beautiful blurred background that helps draw attention to the hero subject or what's in the front. But don't overuse it. Sometimes the software struggles with intricate details like herbs, steam, glassware, or decorative garnishes. So if your goal is really to enhance the image and not make it look artificial, take several versions. One with portrait mode, one without, because then you can compare the results. And I think you'll be happy with it too. Number 5, styling and storytelling. So the most memorable food photographies tell a story. Photographies. I love it. So I'll say that again. The most memorable food photographs tell a story. They make that viewer be part of the experience or imagine that they're there within the scene. So instead of simply photographing a cupcake, show the cupcake with a bite taken out. Instead of a loaf of bread, show a slice being cut. Instead of a coffee cup, capture the steam rising from the mug. Instead of a grazing platter, show a hand reaching into the frame. These small details create emotion and connection. Now, while I'm speaking about that connection, props can also help to tell the story and enhance the connection. Timber boards, linen napkins, fresh herbs, flowers, recipe books, or rustic crockery can add to context and atmosphere. Now, I think for me, and I don't know about others listening to this podcast, I love my cookbooks. Now, I do have quite a few, and most of them are signed by the chefs or the editors because I'm a bit fanatic about that. But what I love about their food photography is some have certain styles, and I think when you look at them and you get inspired by others, you will notice that there's these details that do create that emotion and connection. So have a look at some of the cookbooks that inspire you. Have a look on Instagram, have a look on socials, and see what other food photographers are doing out there, because it will inspire you. But remember, at the end of the day, if you are doing food photography, the hero is always the food. So the props, whilst I've suggest you go and look at what others are doing, when you are talking about or doing your own photography, remember those props should support the image, not steal the attention from the subject. And don't be afraid to leave a few crumbs behind. Cooking and food is messy. That little imperfection makes food feel more authentic and inviting rather than it being sterilised. Professional photography still has its place though. So while smartphones are incredibly capable, there are times when you need to invest in a professional photographer, especially for major advertising campaigns, product launches, and printed menus or large-scale marketing projects. So think of your smartphone as a fantastic everyday marketing tool, but don't be afraid to bring in a professional photographer, videographer even for that point, when the situation calls for it. Now, a quick word as I'm starting to close this episode down is around AI and smartphone photography. And I think everybody would understand that one of the biggest advances in smartphone photography over the last few years has been the introduction of artificial intelligence, or AI. So whether or not you're using the iPhone or an Android device, AI is now working behind the scenes every time you take a photograph. It helps identify subjects, adjust exposure, improve focus, balance colours, and even enhance detail in low light situations. Apple's iPhone uses computational, can't even say it, computational. See, I can't even say it. It's like hospitable. You just leave those words alone. But it uses computer-based photography to combine multiple images in a fraction of a second, producing results that would once required expensive cameras and extensive editing. So I suppose my point is AI can also assist after the photo is taken as well. Many editing apps now offer one-click enhancement, background removal, object removal, sky replacement, automatic adjustments to brightness, contrast and colour. And these tools can save time and they can improve results, but remember, they're tools. They're not magic. Sometimes they fluff it up or get it wrong. So, there's always the undo button, people. Or you need to make a duplicate if you're doing it on your phone. Don't be caught out if you find you only have one image that is the hero, the money shot. Make a duplicate of it before you start playing around with it. So my advice is simple. Let AI assist you, but don't let it replace your creativity, because remember, good photography still begins with good light and thoughtful composition and clear subject. So you don't want AI taking that out of the composition. And the best food photography still come from that understanding the story you want to tell and using technology to support that vision. After all, AI can help improve a photograph, but it can't create passion, atmosphere, or the aroma of freshly baked bread. And that's your job, really, as the photographer or the person standing behind the iPhone. So, closing thoughts. If you'd like to improve your smartphone photography this week, focus on these 5 principles. Light first. Clean your lens. Composition and framing. Focus, exposure and portrait mode. Styling and storytelling. And remember to take those photographs from multiple angles. Capture both portrait and landscape versions. Consider where that image is going to be used before you press the shutter. And once you finish shooting, spend a few moments editing your images. Sometimes small adjustments to brightness, contrast and saturation can make a significant difference. Please don't oversaturate, because it's all going to look really vibrant and horrible. And finally, optimize your images before uploading them to your website or social media channels. Great images should look fantastic, but they also should load quickly. So, we all know it. Your smartphone is one of the most powerful marketing tools you carry every day. And if you can learn how to use it well, you'll create images that showcase your products, tell your story and help attract customers, because at the end of the day, we're still going to eat with our eyes first. Anyway, you have a great day, and until next time, cheerio.
Thanks for listening to the 5-Minute Business Boost. For more information, follow me on socials, sign up for my newsy, or check out my website to see how we can work together to reach your small business goals. Remember, anything is possible, especially in the northeast of Victoria. Until next time, cheerio.